Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Mistral top. This is an asymmetrical top with a high color, princess seams, there's no lining but facing instead, and finally quite a few rouleau button loops. This top is part of Lino y Barro, which is my Spring-Summer 2025 capsule collection of patterns. It was inspired by and created in collaboration with ceramicist roquet, who lives in Spain and shares her creative process and journey with ceramics on her YouTube channel. I'm gonna link to her channel in the description. This top is not very difficult to make. I'd say it's for advanced beginners. The difficulty isn't actually technical, rather, as always with patterns, it's about knowing your measurements by heart if you can, and picking the size that corresponds to them using the size chart that I provide among my files. Another difficulty often with patterns is choosing the right fabric, but this time it should be easy. Linen is gonna be great, particularly stone washed linen, which is the fabric that I chose. I think it's better to take a fabric that is a bit structured, not too thin, so lightweight denim, gabardine would be nice too. And actually I'm thinking some taffeta could look bomb. I have to test it, and if I do, I'll link to the result in the description, and you can take fabric which has a bit of stretch. 16 buttons, I'm using cover buttons, but feel free to get another kind. Some interfacing, take it lightweight and woven. If you're new to PDF sewing patterns, please have a look at this video that I made where I explain how to download, print, cut, stick your patterns, how to pick your size, and I answer all the other questions that I often get asked in customer service. All right, let's start sewing. Let me show you the pattern pieces. On the left, we have the back parts cut twice mirrored. I have traced the darts on the wrong side of the fabric. Next to them, the right front parts with its facing backed with interfacing. Then we have the left front parts with also its facing and also backed with interfacing. The front sides here to create the princess seams. In between the small part here is the button guard. Up there, the collar parts cut twice. The part that will be the lining is not backed with interfacing. Cover buttons, and here I have some scraps to remind myself that I still need to cut some strips to make the button loops. Let's start with the back darts. So let's keep the back parts only and sew our darts. Press down. I lay the two back parts right sides touching, and I sew the center back seam. And I finish the edge. I sew the front parts together. And then I finish the edges. I press down in the direction of the sides. I add the left facing first. I'm going to fold the bottom edge of my facing on 1 centimeter. Then pin the facing to the left side, but don't sew yet, we need to add the button guard first. So take this little piece of fabric, fold it in half. And sew. I made a mistake, I sewed my part like this, but it shouldn't be. So again, you want to fold the fabric in half like this and sew along this edge here. So please disregard in some of the future steps that I'm showing. You're going to be seeing that the end is sewed here. I corrected it at some point, you'll see. Place the button guard in between the left front and the facing. and sew together. Finish the facing edge. And this is what you should get, except with the button guard open like this, right? Before moving on to the right front facing, we need to create our button loops. I'm going to cut strips of fabric that are 2 centimeters wide. I fold and press them like so. And I sew. I've done tests, so I know that for these buttons and my fabric thickness, my loops must be 6.5 centimeters long, and this includes 2 centimeters of seam allowance, but please run tests on your own with your fabric to determine the correct length for your loops. I'll sew my loops to my front. Take the right facing this time, fold the ends on 1 centimeter. Let's finish this edge, the inner edge. Sew the facing to the right front, right sides touching. Trim the seam allowance in the rounded corner. Turn inside out and press down. So we have here the back and the front parts. I'm going to lay these parts right sides touching. Let's sew them at the shoulder and on the sides. Finish the edges. Time to add the color, which is line. You have to be careful here because this part is not actually symmetric. In front of me, I have the paper pattern on which you can see that on one end, on the right, there are 2 notches. The parts that I have below are oriented so that the 2 notches are also on the right. This means that the brown part above is right sides facing up, backed with interfacing, while the part underneath is wrong side facing up, and it is the lining. I will trace a line 2 centimeters from the lower edge of the lining part. Then I fold my lower edge against this line and I press down. That way we get a 1 centimeter sort of hem. Once it's done, lay the 2 color parts right sides touching and sew. Trim the corners, snip the fabric in the curve. Turn inside out, press down. Let's sew the collar to the neck hole. I'm just going to add a notch at the center front of the neck hole. Then I pin my collar all around and I sew. Cover the seam allowance with the folded edge of the collar and hand stitch. Finish the edges at the armhole. Finish the lower edge of the top. Fold the edge on 1 centimeter. Sew. I'm going to trace lines 6 centimeters from the edge on the wrong side of the fabric to respect 3 centimeter hem allowance. I press down my hem and I sew. Little bit of hand stitching. Finally, let's make our cover buttons. Please, before sewing your buttons, following the button placement that I give you, you have to try the top on and check that this button placement is correct. I did my best to place them, but in the end, the placement is influenced by how long your loops are. And then let's sew them by hand, and yeah, it should take some time. And the final step is the little snap button at the collar. And that's it. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you make this top and share it on social, please use this hashtag. Take care and see you soon for another sewing project. Kiss!